'07 once again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second Mr. Spaxy's live commentary. Recently I've decided to pick up on making videos again because it turns out that it can actually be a lot of fun. In this video I will be flying a trademark Railtron, which was at first designed by Craig, I believe, and then further modified to be improved on. I'm gonna run through some basic stuff through EFT, show you some fit variations as well as pros and cons of this particular ship. To wrap it up, I'll have a couple of fights which will be commentated as is. So as I'm flying, I will be talking about every and each of the fights. Right, so basically here we have EFT opened up. I'm gonna use an all level 5 skill character, and I'm just gonna show you that it doesn't have any implants, so that everything that you see here is what you're gonna be getting if you have absolutely no implants. So basically this is the default fit for the Railtron that I use. It's codenamed Laura X, and it utilizes a long point and the afterburner to make range and to maintain the range between you and the target while you're still applying some decent DPS. So I'm gonna take us through the slots. Right, high slots, we will be talking about 150mm railguns, which hit the hardest, but most importantly have the best range. You can see the optimal range for this Atron is 16 kilometers with Caldari Navy thorium charges. However, you can spice it up. Let's see if you go Caldari Navy antimatter. Sorry, it's not antimatter. There we go. With Caldari Navy antimatter, you're still getting 9 kilometers of optimal range, with another 11 fall-offs, so basically your fighting range is within 20 kilometers. And if we want to go even further, loading spike puts you at 32 kilometers optimal without a huge DPS decrease from thorium, so you're losing about 25 DPS. I'm just gonna switch back here to thorium, since that is the default ammo you will be using most of the time. What I would suggest is carrying 2 reloads of Javelin, 2 reloads of Spike, 4 reloads of Thorium, and 4 reloads of Antimatter. In mid slots we have Tech 2 Afterburner, which is not all that expensive but is great for moving fast as you can go with an Afterburner anyway. Long point is there because a scram wouldn't be enough, since you're gonna be looking at keeping at range between 15 and 16 kilometers. And then we have a web whose role is to be a defensive web, which will give you the opportunity to warp in on people. Then in low slots we're going for a mag stab for that extra DPS, damage control, particularly F85 because of the CPU requirements, which are very high. You can see you need weapon upgrades 5 and CPU management 5 for this fit to work. And then we're gonna have some form of tank. The best option for this type of fight would be a small ancillary. When we take a look at our rig slots, we're gonna have a polycarbon for the extra agility, because if you wanna avoid being slingshotted, it's gonna be very hard to actually slingshot you because you're afterburner fit. But anyway, you want to get both speed and agility. The auxiliary thruster with its... Alright, let's actually see how much more speed you get from an auxiliary thruster. So 1458 versus 1483. In my opinion, the extra 30 speed you get is not worth it. You want the agility, and I'm gonna talk about why later. So this is the basic fit. The cost is around 5 mil, 5 or 6 mil, which literally is nothing for a frigate that has very high potential. However, if you're willing to go an extra mile with it, what you can do is you can replace the F-85 with a pseudo Electron, which will give you another 2 CPU, which then allows you to fit a fleeting propulsion web. So what you're doing is you're getting a bit of extra tank, and you're getting some more speed difference between you and your opponent by improving your web. It's 53% versus 60% web. That 7% speed can sometimes mean a lot, especially if you're fighting a slasher or some other ship that can have very similar speed. Third way to fit this ship up would be to replace the warp disruptor with a scram. Also, as with the previous fit, it all depends how far money-wise you want to go. You can always go Faint Epsilon for the extra range. So with your Faint Epsilon, you have 9 kilometers optimal on the scram, which fits rather nicely in with Kodari Navy antimatter. See, 9 kilometers optimal as well. So it's gonna be one of these 3 options for your everyday PvP, and I would strongly suggest that you carry a scram with you at all times. Even if you're gonna use the long point most of the time, just have a scram with you, so that in case you get into a fight with a micro warp drive ship, you can just scram them, turn off their micro warp drive, and then dictate range with that. Also, it will add a lot of unpredictability to your fit. If you take a look at my kill board, you will notice that most of the time I will be flying an Atron that's going to be railguns, and that doesn't really help people who I'm going to fight a lot, because they will not know before they fight me if I have a long point or a short point, and that can mean a lot if they're planning to bring a micro warp drive scram and web brawler against me. I'd like to take a minute or two to talk about the pros and cons of this fit. Basically, as you see with the long point and with thorium loaded, you're looking at about 100 DPS. When you heat that, it's gonna go up to 115. Now when you take a look at it, 115 DPS doesn't sound all that much. Mine curse, I go between 200 and 300 DPS, but the difference is this ship applies 115 DPS at 16 kilometers, whereas other ships have a very, very shorter optimal range. So basically, the correlation between the damage of this ship and the range is very good. It's very high and it's very effective. Now you're all probably wondering why I have a collision accelerator instead of a burst aerator. It's going to show you the difference in DPS. Fitting a burst aerator gets you 1 DPS more, but I want you to take a look at something else. Right, overheated, my guns last 1.5 minutes with the burst aerator, whereas with collision accelerator they last a bit longer. See, it's completely unmodified. And I know, okay, these numbers don't really mean a lot to you. It's like for this gun it's 1 second, and for this gun it's 7 seconds, and for the last gun it's 10 seconds. But there have been so many fights in which I fought 2 versus 1, 3 versus 1. I try to split people up, and while you're doing that you want to actually kill them, not make them warp off, so you need to apply a lot of DPS so they actually go down, and you want to have better control over the heat of your weapons. So that is the reasoning behind the collision accelerator. Now this fit, as you can see, right, so we're looking at 115 DPS with thorium, and if we swap that for antimatter, it's gonna be 155 DPS at 9 kilometers. So if you go for a scram, you want to be fighting with antimatter and applying a lot more DPS. I'm gonna switch this back to thorium now. Another thing this ship excels at is being fast, if you can put it that way. If you can say that an afterburner frigate is fast, then yes, this ship is very fast. We're looking at 1458 meters per second cold, which when you put some heat on it goes up to 1.911 kilometers a second. However, I'd like most of you to consider that this is completely implantless, so no velocity in slot 6, no Zor's custom navigation hyperlink for that extra 5%, no nothing. So this is very, very fast for a blank ship. This speed, coupled with the range that you're fighting, 16 kilometers, and a small ansil, which can wrap up to 75 DPS, is amazing. And when you say that this ship is not tanky, you'd actually be lying. It's not tanky in terms of a brawling ship where you're gonna go buffer, high resists, and dual rep or whatnot. Doesn't really matter. The speed to distance to tank ratio of this ship is also very high. So the speed that you're carrying and the range that you're fighting at will contribute to your tank a lot. You can see the numbers aren't all that flashy, but this fit works. And I've been flying this ship for a couple of months. A lot of people that are very good PvPers are flying them as well. Especially Craig Gattero. Rest in peace, his character, since he biomassed. Anyway, I'm gonna move on to the cons of this ship. As you can notice that in armor you have an explosive hole. You can patch this up with anti-explosive, but let's take a look at what we're gonna remove if we want to put a hole up, and just keep track of speed. 1458. So if we remove the polycarbon, we're dropping by 70 meters per second. Then we put an anti-explosive and boom, we're almost 150 meters a second slower. Put that into heat, 1720. Nothing special at all. So you're gonna have to rely on your speed and your maneuverability to survive. The biggest counter to this fit are actually micro warp drive brawlers, which are gonna micro warp drive to you. They're gonna scram you and web you, and they'll just keep running micro warp drive and they'll destroy you because you won't be able to tank at brawl range. But being a skillful pilot, you can negate this almost completely. I'm actually looking forward to getting into a fight against a micro warp drive brawler a bit later on, because I'm going to be recording this EFT part first, and then I'm gonna be recording fights. It's probably gonna be 2 separate videos. We'll see. I'm working on a new pattern of releasing videos. This one is probably just gonna be the EFT analysis, so I'm really sorry about that, guys. I want to mention something else, right? So how would you want to fight with this ship? Railguns, right? What are the characteristics of railguns? Fucking huge optimal, but look at this tracking speed, right? This tracking speed is so poor that if it were any poorer, it would be Serbia. So how you want to fight is by using keep at range. Now, I know keeping at range, probably everyone and their mothers taught you that keeping at range is wrong, 0 transversal means you're dead, blah 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 blah. No. Okay, I'm gonna stop you right there. If you're gonna fight cruisers, yes, you will die within 2 volleys. Anything bigger than a destroyer is gonna completely wreck you if you just keep at range 16 kilometers. But if you do it against other frigates, especially if you're riding the fact that they're not going to be able to hit you at that range, it can be very, very useful to apply your full DPS. I'm not going to go through some very thorough DPS analysis. I've already done some research which is posted on internal Bastards forums, so most of our members actually have access to some very, very detailed explanations and fighting styles. I'm just gonna advise you, if you're gonna be flying this ship, you just keep at range. It's not gonna hurt you as much as you think. If you start orbiting, your DPS will plummet, and there's not much you'll be able to do to win a fight. Another thing I'm gonna mention are drone boats. Right, usually we're talking Tristans, and let's be honest, Tristans are just ridiculous ships in terms of unpredictability, DPS application, literally everything. They can get very tanky and apply a lot of DPS. I'm not even gonna go there, but I'd suggest against fighting Tristans. You can be, you'll be keeping a range at 16 kilometers. Their drones will be doing perfect damage to you. You will probably die before they die. There is a way to fight them, where you can actually set your orbit to, per se, 17 kilometers. Orbit them at 17 kilometers just so that you keep moving. Moving is very important when fighting drones. Then you load the Javelin and kill one drone at a time. Web a drone, kill it. Web a drone, kill it. Repeat 8 times. And those fights are long, boring, unpredictable. You will have other people interfering. It can go either way, and if you have fun with it, then by all means do it. But if you don't, I would strongly suggest that you just avoid drone ships. Now, a minute or two ago I mentioned destroyers. Yes, this Atron can fight destroyers. I didn't really think through this part of the video. I'm recording right now, so everything is on the fly. I can look up the kill board and show you a couple of destroyers that this ship actually killed. You cannot kill all destroyers, which is pretty obvious. You are limited to catalysts. Avoid Alguses. Dragoons you cannot kill. Coercers you cannot kill. Thrashers, autocannon thrashers, yes. Arty thrashers, no. Rocket towers, yes. Light missile towers, no. Cormorants, yes, if they're blaster fit, but 9 out of 10 a cormorant will be railgun fit for sniping. And if we're talking about Corexes, rocket Corexes, yes. Light missile Corexes, no. So, Railtron, guys. I'm very, very glad to introduce you to it. I will be recording, so these days I'm going to be recording some of the fights with it, and hopefully I'm going to show you guys how you can fly a very cheap and a very effective system, where you will be matching up your piloting skills against theirs. So this is not an easy ship to fly. It's not like brawling orbit F1 or keep at range F1. You really need to know what you're doing if you want to take some of the most difficult fights, like 2 versus 3, 2 versus 1, 3 versus 1, or if you want to kill faction ships. This Atron has killed a faction fit Firetail, faction fit RT Firetail. So there you go, guys, that's even possible. So you can kill faction ships with this. You can also kill pirate ships, but all in due time. I hope I didn't bore you too much with this simple analysis, and I'll see you next time. If you liked what you're hearing, just hit the like button, share, subscribe, and comment. Every type of comment is welcome. Good comments, bad comments, and spread the word. If you really liked it, just spread the word, because the more people start watching videos like this, the stronger the low-sec PvP scene in EVE is going to become, and it's going to be more and more fun with us. Until next time, guys, have fun and fly hard.
15 men on a dead man's chest, yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum. Drink and the devil had done for the rest, yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum.
The mate was fixed by the bosun's pike, the bosun brained with a marlin spike, and Cookie's throat 'twas marked belike. It had been gripped by fingers 10, and there they lay, all good dead men.
Like break of day in a boozing can, yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum. 15 men of a whole ship's list, yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum. Dead and be damned and the rest gone with, yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum.
The skipper lay with his knob in gore, with a scullion's axe his cheeked shore, and scullion he was stabbed times 4. And there they lay while soggy skies dripped all day long in upstaring eyes.
At murk sunset and a foul sunrise, yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum. 15 men of the stiff and stock, yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum. And 10 of the crew had the murder mark, yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum.
'Twas a cutlass swipe or an ounce of lead, or a yawing hole in a battered head, and the scuppers clogged with a rotting red. And there they lay, I damn me eyes, all lookouts clapped on paradise,
All souls bound just contrariwise, yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum. 15 men of them good and true, yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum. Every man jack good as sail with old Pew, yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum.
There was chest on chest full of Spanish gold, with a ton of plate in the middle hold, and the cabin's riot of loot untold. And there they lay that it took the plum, with sightless glare and their lips struck dumb.
While we shared all by the rule of thumb, yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum. All was seen through the stern light screen, yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum. Charting no doubt where a woman had been, yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum.
A flimsy shift on a bunker cot, with a fingered slot through the bosom spot, and a lace stiff dried in a purplish blot. Oh, was she wench some shuddering maid, who dared the knife and took the blade?
By God, she was stuffed for a plucky jade, yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum. 15 men on a dead man's chest, yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum. Drink and the devil had done for the rest, yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum.
We wrapped 'em all in a mainsail tight, with twice 10 tons of a house's bite. Then we heaved 'em over and out of sight, with a
Yo heave ho,
and a paddy well, and a sullen planche, and a southern swell.
10 fathoms deep on the road to hell, yo ho ho.